All right, Boker Tov. Today's daf is daf samech, and we pick up with um, the um, let's read from Vitani Allah. Now, this is a case where we see 4 lines down from the top. So this is a case that we've seen before about a person who's a suffik Nazir Tameh, meaning maybe he touched his body, and a suffik Mitzora. And basically, he has to wait 120 days, 60 days to get out of Mitzora and 60 days to get out of his Nazir Tuma. And the basic explanation is that because there are going to be 4 shavings. As a Nazir Mitzora, you shave when it clears up. As a Mitzora, you would shave when it clears up, and then you'd shave 7 days later at the end of the Tara process. And a Nazir Tameh, you'd shave when you became Tameh, and then you would shave at the end of the Naziris. So there would be 4 shavings, but normally that could happen pretty quickly. But because he might be a Nazir Tahor and none of these statuses, he has to wait 30 days between each shaving because he might be a Nazir Tahor, and then he can't shave in the middle of his Nazirut. So we don't have it up on the board anymore. So maybe I'll use this here. Maybe we'll use an opportunity to do that again. Quickly. Okay, why not? So here's basically the story. What is a normal Nazir does what? A normal Nazir goes 30 days and shaves
Korban and shaves.
Okay, a Nazir Tameh, meaning Tumas Mace, okay, goes 7 days and then does Giluach and Korban. And then does 30 days of Tahara, and then another Giluach and Korban.
So technically that's day 37.
Day 37. Okay? A Mitzora, even if you're a Nazir Mitzora, because the shaving or whatever but if you're definitely a Mitzora, okay, then your shaving you would shave even though you're a Nazir Torah or whatever. That's the halacha, that the shaving of a definite Mitzora overrides. The problem is that you're a doubtful Mitzora. So once it starts to clear up here, right, it clears up, etc., then what you do is you thing with the birds, right? You send them out, you dip them in the thing, and you do a giluach, okay, that you do right at the beginning, and then you wait 7 days, and then you do another giluach and a korban, okay? That's what you do. 4 shavings, right? 1, 2, whatever, 3, 4. Okay. Now, what does this person have to do? So here's the story. Why not you can't go ahead and just start by doing this shaving, let's say. Okay. Why can't you start by doing this shaving? You might be a Nazir Tahor. You can't shave when you're a Nazir Tahor. You might not be any of these things. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to wait 30 days. Okay. You've waited 30 days. Now, even if you're a Nazir Tameh, okay, you've waited your 7 days, so you can do your Giluach now. If you're a Mitzora, you were always ready to do your Giluach. And even if you're a Nazir Tahor, it's time to do your Giluach, right? So after 30 days, you're able to do your first Giluach, okay? Got that? Yes?
Yep.
All right.
Giluach number 1.
Giluach number 1. Now, let's say, so assuming you were a Nazir Tameh, okay, you did your first Giluach, instead of 7, it now became, whatever. And now you waited 30. You waited 30. Okay. And now you would have to do another 30 days for Tahara. Okay. That's if you were Nazir Tameh. If you were a Mitzora, instead of doing it immediately, you waited 30 days to do your Giluach. So now, okay, you would do the birds and whatever, and your other Giluach. Okay, here you do your, right? So, here you push down your Giluach and your Korban here. Okay? And now you have 7 days to go for the remainder of it. All right? And then you would do again a Giluach and a Korban. That's what you should do if you're. Okay, so that was stage 1. Now everybody got in their first Giluach as it was, and nothing was violated because you waited 30 days. Now, why not go ahead if you're a Nazir? Why not go ahead and wait 7 days? So the next thing coming up is the 7 days and doing the Giluach for this Mitzora, right? But you can't, because you might be over here and you would violate your Nazirus of Tara, right? If you did the Giluach here at day 7. What you have to do is, we've got to wait another 30 days, okay? Now we've got a giluach. So now for this guy, we're done. If all he was a Nazir Tamei and not a Mitzorah, he did a giluach here for Nazir Tamei and a giluach here for Tara. We're done for this guy. Okay, but for this guy, and now for this guy, he did his birds. He waited 70 days. Okay, and that's 7 days. And then down here, he does giluach and korban. And now we're done with this guy. Okay, so nothing was violated. We finished with Mitzorah.
There's
okay?
two giluchim
Yes,
here, right?
at the beginning,
Right, and
then at the end of 7 days, which now got pushed off to 30 days.
right. So that second giluach sort of double dips for two purposes, right? The giluach for the mitzorah with the birds, and also the giluach
No,
for
because
the
then we would be
Nazir tahor.
No, because then we would be totally done. But we're not totally done. We're totally done with this guy because if he was a mitzorah, you might remember that being a mitzorah does not count towards your nazirus. You didn't remember that. Being a mitzorah, you still have your full nazirus to do. If you're a vadai mitzorah, a nazir mitzorah, you've still got 30 days of your nazirus to do. And if you're a vadai and nazir tamei mitzorah, you have to. This giluach here that you did here does not count for your giluach of tumah. The Gemara is going to get to that, but that's implicit here. Okay, so if you're a vadai and nazir tamei, and this giluach doesn't count for your tumah, so if you were a nazir tamei and mitzorah, this didn't count. You still need another.
Days.
You need a giluach of tumah and a giluach of tahor.
So
why not here? Do just wait 7 days or something, or do another giluach of tumah, even if that one didn't count. Because the point is, if you were nazir tahor, then your nazirus of tahara basically starts now, okay, and now you need 30 days. So because you now this reactivates this section of the board, okay, and because now you might be a nazir tahor, and you can't violate that with the giluach of nazir tamei, assuming you were both, right? So this is if you were just this, but if you were this, so from this point on, it assumes you were vadai mitzorah, and now we're figuring out. So now all of this reactivates. So you got to wait 30 days here because you might be a nazir tahor. Okay, so now you waited 30 days. You did another giluach because you might be a nazir tahor, but you might be a nazir tamei, right? So if you were a nazir tamei, then you did your giluach for nazir tamei. So assuming you were a nazir tamei, then you had your first 7 days here, and now you're going to get your final 30 days of tahara here. All right, and that's giluach number 4.
Yeah, if you're a Nazir Tamei, why can't you just say the second day 30 just counts for that too?
Exactly.
Why can't you say like this?
No.
No, one above
this?
Yeah.
No. This would be your giluach for your Nazir Tamei.
No, because if it was your giluach for Ditzorah, it can't count.
You can't double
But why
dip.
not?
Then we're going to get to that, but that's the assumption.
No, but meaning like it's not
I know,
Same time.
but we're going to get to the idea that it doesn't double count. Okay, so that's what we're going to get. Now that you need another giluach, you can't go ahead and do it because you're now a nazir tahor. Okay, so this is the Mishnah. All right, so this is at the end of 60 days. Right, 60 days, you're done with your mitzorah. You can eat kachim. You can eat kachim by your nazir after 7 days after the ashes of the paraduma. Okay, and after 120 days, you're done with your nazirut. All right, that was the Mishnah. All right, yes.
I just have a quick question. What is that 30 days for the tahara?
Here,
The tamei? No, the up 2 more. Those 30 days.
because if you were nazir tamei, you got out of your tumah, and now you need to do your nazirus of tahara.
As a pure nazir.
Oh, the nazirus of tahara, right? Yes. Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's take a look at the Gemara. We'll start from the top. Tana, but if it was a nazirus of a year, since all of these gaps are to not violate, right, your nazirus of tahara, right? All of these things are, right, here it's, right, this is, I don't know how to indicate it, but it's all because, right, here you might be doing your nazirus of tahara, right, here you might be doing your nazirus of tahara, here you might be doing your nazirus of tahara, here you are doing your nazirus of tahara. All of the weights are because at any stage you might be in a nazirus of tahara that can't be violated, right? So all of those gaps, there's 30-day gaps because of that. So if it was a nazirus of a year, you'd have to have year gaps in order to not violate the nazirus of tahara at any stage. Okay. Aval b'nezirus bas shana ocha b'kachim lachar shtei shanim b'shosei yam b'tamim l'meisim achar arba shanim. Okay. The Tani Allah megalech arba tiglachayot, 4 shavings. Now we're going to talk. We've been focusing about the shaving. What are the korbanot that you bring? In terms of what are the korbanot that you bring, let's talk about what are the korbanot that everybody brings. Under normal let's not do under normal circumstances. Let's just talk about what are the ones that can be done if you're besafek. Okay, so mitzorah stage 1 is the birds, right? You dip the birds in the blood and you whatever.
You're talking about normal mitzvah, right?
No, well, yes, a normal mitzvah, but I'm only talking about the subset of korbanot that every person can bring, right? That could be brought even if you're not sure if you're in that state. Okay, we would go look at the psukim for the whole full set of korbanot. Okay, so for a normal mitzvah, right, the first stage 1, when he starts clearing up, they go out. He's outside the camp. They're not being a korban. They're slaughtering the bird. They got the blood. They're dipping it. They're sprinkling it. Whatever. So even if you're not a mitzvah, okay, you're just doing some weird bird ritual, but anybody can do it. It's not prohibited to anybody. Okay. At stage 2, that's stage 1. Stage 2, when he's done with the process and he brings a korban, okay. When he brings this korban here, that's the bird. When he brings this korban, so the korban consists of a what do you call it? Of a bird for chatas and a bird for an olah. So the fact is, you can bring an olas, a chatas ha'of besafek, right? He brings a chatas ha'of. That's what the Torah says, and one of the korbanot. And if it's brought besafek, you're allowed to bring a besafek if you don't know. So that's a korban that could be brought at stage 2 that would work even if you don't know his status. Okay, a Nazir Tameh.
I'm sorry, I thought the stage 2 for the mitzvah, you're supposed to be bringing 2 kvasim and kavsa achat, and that's it.
Hold on. There's not a case about if he's poor.
Oh, it might be poor.
Kashnik wasn't with Chavza Shosha ve'amida kohen v'lakach holim et kavas echad v'lakach et kol midam hasham v'taval mi'yasar shemen v'nosar. A minute. V'im dalu, ve'in yodom hasegas. V'kavas echad hasham litnufa l'chaper. This one solech balul. V'shtei torim, shtei b'nei hona. Echad l'chatas v'echad v'olah. Okay, so basically the whole discussion, like, does he have to write up, all of his property in his spouse, in his wife's or husband's name, so that he can be poor? I'm serious. Serious, but it's a good point. Okay, if he's poor. Okay, if he's poor, he brings the chatas ha'of. Now he also brings an olas ha'of. So the question, why not bring that besafek? Okay, and he also brings an asham. And I should say the asham is going to be a question in the Gemara because the asham is actually needed for the mitzvah, and we're going to be ignoring the asham. So that is going to be a problem. But the chatas ha'of can definitely be brought besafek. Okay, a Nazir Tameh. What does a Nazir Tameh bring? He also brings a olas ha'of and a chatas ha'of. Okay. Michael can check if that's only if he's poor. Again, I forget. Okay, that can be brought besafek, and a normal Nazir brings a ola, chatas,
and a
shlamim. Okay, for some reason we're also going to ignore the shlamim, but an ola can definitely be brought b'tnai. Either it's my ola, my obligatory ola, or it's my or it's a gift. It's a stam olas nedava. Okay, so these are the various korbanot. But these things, the birds, the chatas ha'of can be brought besafek, and an olah can be brought b'tnai. Okay, those are the things that could be brought even when you don't know what your status is.
Nazir, I don't think there's any difference in say what happens if you're poor.
And what does the Nazir Tameh say? It just says chatas ha'of and olah ha'of?
For this, you do.
Yeah, v'shtei torim. Oh, so you don't have to be poor. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. So these are the korbanot. And these are the ones that can be done even if you don't know your status, because the Torah allows a normal chatas can't be brought besafek, but allows the chatas ha'of to be. An olah can be either an obligation or a gift, and the tipurim is just some ritual outside the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, so now at each stage you're going to bring the korbanot that are possible to be brought. Okay, and the reason you have to bring these korbanot like at each stage, by the way, is in order to do the giluach, in order to move on to the next stage, you need to bring some minimal korbanot. Right? A Nazir Tameh can't move on to being a Nazir Tahor unless he brings a minimal korban. A Nazir Tahor doesn't finish his Nazirus unless he brings a minimal korban, right? A Mitzorah doesn't move on to the next stage or doesn't become Tahor unless he brings a minimal korban. So since you need to move on to the next stage here, that's the whole point. At each stage, you have to bring, based on what status you might be at, a minimal set of korbanot.
Can you always
Okay.
bring a shlomim too?
Yeah, so that's the question. Why it's not going to mention the shlamim and the olas ha'of. Okay, I don't know, but let's not worry about that
Just
right
one
now.
quick question.
Yes.
So meanwhile, this mitzvah, because it says Nazir, we just read it's 4 years for the whole thing. 2 years to get out of Torah, right?
Right.
So I mean, just to like bring this contextually. So meanwhile, this guy is sitting out in some sort of camp for 2
Yeah.
years, away
Yeah.
from his whole family. Potentially.
Well, yeah. And he's not eating korban pesach. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So now the Gemara says like this. Yes.
The,
Get his Nazirus undone. It'll speed things up. Yes.
the Nazir Tameh, his lamb Asham becomes a Vadui.
With Nazir,
Vadai, because of
Yeah.
Vadai, is that what
Vadai.
yeah.
It becomes a question.
Yeah, we're not discussing the asham. What'll happen?
Oh.
Okay. I mean, but well, that no. It
I mean,
will
he
never
can't
be a
bring it,
vadai.
right?
He can't bring it.
He can't.
Okay.
bring
Well,
it.
whether you can bring an asham besafek, you might be able to do, and we'll
Oh,
get
really?
to. Yeah,
Oh.
we're going to get to
Oh.
that. Okay.
But it's like
So
a
yeah, but
chatas.
that's true. Nazir Tameh also brings an asham.
It's not like a chatas to the Asham.
No, an asham is a little bit more flexible than a
Okay.
chatas. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to actually see about that. Okay. But for now, we're assuming not. So let's take a look at the book. V'tani Allah. U'megalech arba tiglachiyot. Tiglacha rishona, mevi tziparim v'chatas of olas behema. So this first one, you might be any of the three categories, right? You might be finished stage 1 of Mitzorah. Well, you're not stage 2. Finish stage 1 of Mitzorah, or finished a Nazir Tameh, or being a Nazir Tahor. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
how
if
can
you could
bring
be any
it?
one of the three, what do you bring? So tziparim, because of stage 1 of the Mitzorah, chatas ha'of, because of Nazir Tameh, and olas behema, because of Nazir Tahor. That's at stage 1.
Right, we just mentioned anything
Okay.
about the shlomim like we talked about.
All right, let's summarize.
You can bring a behema even if there's a suffix situation.
It's an ola. That's what I'm saying. It's not a chatas. It's an ola.
Okay.
Shnia, stage 2. So what are you possibly here at stage 2? You're not a Nazir Tahor. If you were a Nazir Tahor, you were done at stage 1, right? So at stage 2, the only two possibilities you are I'm sorry, I said that wrong. If you were Nazir Tameh, if you were Nazir Tahor, you're done at stage 1. If you were Nazir Tameh, you did your Tumah at stage 1. So at stage 2, you're a Nazir. It's your Nazir Tahor. Everybody with me? And if you were Mitzorah, you did your stage 1 here, so you're stage 2 Mitzorah. So at stage 2, you're either finishing Nazir Tahor or finishing Mitzorah. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you bring? Tiglachas Shni'ah. You bring Chatas Ha'of v'olas behema. So you bring a Chatas Ha'of because of Mitzorah, and an olas behema because you're finishing Nazirus of Tara. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Just you
Right.
don't do the giluach and the bird thing at 7 days. So you have to wait till the 30 days when it's a Nazir Tameh there, right?
Yeah, everything is waiting 30 days because
Everything-
because of the Nazir Tara, it
Right,
makes you
fine.
wait. Okay?
Yeah.
You did that right. So here, if you were Nazir Tahor, you're totally done. If you were Nazir Tameh by stage 2, now you're ending a Nazirus of Tara. If you're Mitzorah, now you're ending a Mitzorah. So Nazir Tara and Mitzorah stage 2 is Chatas Ha'of and Olas Behema. All right? Chatas Ha'of, Olas Behema. Shlishis, stage 3. So at stage 3, Mitzorah is off the table. Now we're only looking at Nazirus starting again. So at stage 3, you're either ending a Nazirus of Tara or ending a Nazirus of Tumah. Okay?
That's the
So at
suffix.
stage 3, maybe Chatas Ha'of for Nazirus of Tumah,
Well,
Volos Behema, because of Nazir Tara. Stage 4, the only thing left is Nazirus of Tara. Revius may be Korban Tara. So not only do you bring the full Korban Tara, because now you're the one thing you definitely are now, and you definitely have been, is a Nazir. So the Nazir Korban you'll bring in full. And in case you had brought the Ola earlier, fine, the Ola of the whole Korban will be B'tnai, but the rest of the Korban you'll bring completely.
So at the end of that final stage, you're bringing 3 korbanos.
Yes, you're bringing the whole thing,
the Ola,
and you say, if I brought the Ola before,
But
then
tonight,
that counts, and this is the remainder, and otherwise this
that's
is
the one that was in the dove, as it
Right.
were in the dove.
correct. And now the Gemara works that all out. See, so Amarta, so the rest of the Gemara is just going to be saying in words what we said out loud, what we said outside. Amarta. Tiglachas Rishon Mevi. Nimanushach. So the first shaving, it's one of each. Shaper Kamaisim. It's good if you bring one of each selection. If he was a Mitzorah, stage 1, Vilav Tamehu, and not a Tameh, even if it was a Tameh, not another Tameh. I mean, not another Tameh, meaning even if he is Tameh, but if he's also a Mitzorah, if he's definitely a Mitzorah, so what Korban do you have to bring as a Mitzorah? Tziparim Chovasa. not a korban. What you do is you do the bird ritual if it's mitzvah stage 1.
Could you remind us what's it? There's 2 birds in that.
Yeah,
One
one-
shifted,
and
then
the other
you
is
use the other
dipped
one like
in.
a brush, and you dip
Yeah.
the live
Exactly.
bird in,
Exactly.
and
Okay.
then let it fly away.
Exactly.
Take
Okay.
the bird there.
Tziparim chovaso. So if you're a mitzora, the other stuff is not on the table now. You do stage 1 of mitzora, which is the bird ritual. The chatasov safek, and the chatasov which you brought because you might be another tamei. Fine, you're allowed to bring it besafek, and azulik for it would be buried because that's what you do when you don't know with the chatasov. You sprinkle the blood and you bury the bird. But ola havya nedava, and the ola, because you might have been a nazir tahor, now counts for just a free will ola. Okay, now, if you were a mitzora, why don't we just shave you right away, even
Because
within
you're
7
in the
days or within
middle of
30 days? Why are we waiting? You can't do that. Maybe you're not a mitzora. V'chmana Amar, Tarlo Yavar shows a Nazir. You can't shave. You might be in your normal Nazirus of Tahara. You can't shave, so that's why you had to wait 30 days. Ad Melos. Okay, so that's if
Well, but if you
you.
were Vadai Mitzvah, you would have been.
Yes, but you're not. Okay, the ilav mitzora vadai have. So if you weren't a mitzora, vu tamei, but you are nazir tamei. So chatas of chovaso. So nazir tamei, you're bringing your chatas of. That worked actually. The tziporin and the bird ritual that you're doing now, abarai kamitavdin. They're done outside the base of mikdash. It's not a korban in the azara. It's just a weird ritual. It's a tara ritual that you didn't need to do, but it's whatever. It's not a korban. But olas behema. Havyin Adava, and the Olas Behema is in Adava. So that's why, right? So if you are Nazir Tamei, the Chatas Oaf worked for you, and the rest you're good. It's an Adava, it's a weird ritual, it's fine to do it. The Lav Mitzvah who Lav Tamehu, and if you weren't a Mitzvah and you weren't a Tamei, this is all still at stage 1. Then Siparim Avrai Kamidavdin, the bird ritual is outside the base of Mikdash, no harm, no foul. Chatasof Likvura, the Chatasof that you did because you might have been a Nazir Tamei is, okay, that was Besafek, so it's going to be buried, and you're allowed to bring it Besafek. And Olas Behema have Yechovaso, those Behema is your Chova. So basically, you just work through why you have at stage 1 here, Siparim, Chatas, Ov, and Ola, because that counts. That will cover you for all the possible things you're at stage 1.
Did you just write down that in stage 1 maybe easier?
What you bring?
Yeah. And then stage
Siparim,
just easier for us to see that.
Chatas, Ha'of, and Ola.
And then stage 2.
Stage 2 is, let's figure it out. It's Chatas, Ha'of, and
All this payment.
Chatas, Ha'of, and Ola. Chatas, Ha'of.
And so is stage 3.
Yeah, but for a different reason. Chatas, Ha'of, and Ola.
And stage 4.
And this is full korban tahara. Okay? So basically, it just worked through stage
Right.
1.
How stage 1 works for
At
everything.
stage 1, right, you might be Mitzorah stage 1, you might be Nazir Tameh, you might be Nazir Tahor. Okay? Stage 2, you might be Mitzorah stage 2 or Nazir Tahor. Stage 3, you might be Nazir Tameh or Nazir Tahor, and here you're Nazir Tahor. Okay? So it all works. Now, the Gemara says like this. V'aboy Osham. So it doesn't work. So 1 minute says Gemara, you need an Osham. Now, really, you need an Osham is not a question now, because, well, it could be for Nazir Tameh, but the Osham for Nazir Tameh is not Ma'akev. But the Osham for Mitzorah is Ma'akev. Another Gemara says that only the Osham really counts. This is kapara for a Mitzorah in order to be Mitayar. So it says here, Chatas Ha'of should not be enough. It's nice that he brought a korban, but here at stage 2, the mitzvah needs an asham, and that hasn't been mentioned. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Shimoni, Damer Maisi Umasni. Yes, there's a position of Rabbi Shimon that says that you can stipulate, bring an asham b'tnai, and say if it's not an asham, it's a shlomim. The reason you say a shlomim is because it's the same animal that's used, okay, or whatever. That's a special halacha that most asham is called shlomim. All right, so basically, the Gemara says yes, a Nazir Mitzorah needed an asham. It wasn't mentioned in the Breita, which is strange. It's not answering why it's not mentioned. It's just saying how we solve the problem. And you solve the problem according to Rabbi Shimon that says you can bring an asham b'tanai, which is all very lovely. But if you don't pass like Rabbi Shimon, how does this guy ever get out of this state? I don't know what the answer to that is. Okay, so now so we interrupted talking about number 1 with the asham, which is bizarre because the real necessity of the asham is for the mitzvah. I mean, there is an asham for Nazir Tameh, but it's not necessary. The real necessity is mitzvah. Anyway, now we go to the rest of to stage 2 and stage 3. Tziparim lo tzarech. At stage 2 and stage 3, you no longer need the birds. You only need the birds. Only at stage 1 would that have been the first? Only at shaving 1 would that have been stage 1 of mitzora. After shaving 1, you're done with stage 1 of mitzora. So birds are no longer part of the discussion. The ha'avi. So because you did the birds at the first shaving, and that would have been, then you would have been done with it. Ma'ika. So what's left now? What are the possibilities now at stage 2? Vadei muchlatu. Maybe he is Ma'ika Dilma Vadei muchlatu. You gotta love it. Maybe he's definitely a muchlat. Okay. So Chada l'safek sifro, v'chada l'safek tumato. So here it's really talking about stage 2, not stage 3. Here, okay, if as a mitzora, you won't need the birds anymore. You already did that. So you have one for safek sifro, which is the chata sa'of, which is stage 2 of mitzora, and one for, and so that's this chata sa'of, meaning the ola in both of these cases is for Nazir tahor. Okay, but the chata sa'of in stage 2 is because you might be ending mitzora, that's safek muchlat, and the chatas in stage 3 is because you might be ending tuma.
Nazir tuma.
Okay, Nazir tuma. Chada l'safek sifro, v'chada l'safek tumaso. Okay, and the old in both cases is because you might be ending Nazir Saftara. Tiglachas Rivi'it, maybe Korban Tahara, Masni. And the last one, all that's left with is that you're a Tahor, so you bring the full Korban and you stipulate. And what do you stipulate? You say like this. Ivadei Nazirhu, so Ola Rishona Chova Vizuni Dava. If I was a Nazir earlier, if I was a Nazir Tahor at one of the earlier stages, then the animal I brought at whatever early stage that I was a Nazir Tahor, was my obligatory. And this Ola is in a Dava. But if I was in this category or this category, and only now am I doing my Naziris of Tahara, then Ola Rishona Nidava, anything I gave earlier was a free will sacrifice, Vizochova, and this Ola is the obligatory. So as far as the Ola, right, the full one is the Ola, the Chatas, and the Shlamim. So basically he says, as far as the Ola is concerned, if I brought it before, if I did my Nazir Seftar before, that was my obligatory Ola, and this is an Adava. If only now I'm doing my Nazir Seftar, then this is my obligation. But either way, these two are the remainder of my obligation, right? Because even if I brought my obligatory Ola earlier and I was a Nazir Torah earlier, I never finished bringing the rest of my sacrifice. Okay? V'zeh shar korbano, and this is the remainder of the korban. So that's working the whole thing out. Now, by the way, Tosfos does raise the question, I should just say, which is we asked the issue about bringing an asham here, which is necessary, and it's not so clear that you could bring an asham b'tanai, and what do you do if you don't pass it that way? But the other question to be asked, right, is why not bring an ola sa'of at various cases? You can bring an ola sa'of and make a stipulation, either it's an obligation or it's an adava. It's an ola, right? Why not bring a shlamim at the various stages and make a stipulation, right? So, so Tosfos basically says, like, we, because there are all these fikot around, we really want to just do what is sort of minimally required to be yotze.
What would you gain why would you gain by bringing?
Then you could say that if I was in Nazir Tameh, I brought more of my obligatory korban. But, you'd have to, but anyway, but it's clear what we're trying to do is do basically do the bare minimum. Okay, now, as if that wasn't fun enough, we get to do with other things, which are actually less complicated. When here you're suffix everything. What if you're vadai one of them and suffix the other? Okay, it could be from this point on. It should be easy. It should be easy. I mean, come on, we've done the most complicated situation. Okay, so
the term muchlat only refers to the mitzora, right?
What?
The term
muchlat is only mitzora,
right? Vadai.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now let's say you're tamei safek umuchlat vadai. Okay, you're definitely a mitzora, but maybe tamei meis, a tamei meis. So, now we're not going to be talking about korbanot here. We're actually now going to be talking about the weight. Korbanot, we got figured out. So what do? You are a mitzora vadai. Because you are a mitzora vadai, okay, you basically, as a mitzora, if you're a nazir mitzora, if you know your mitzora, then the shaving, goes, violates the naziris. Because if you're definitely a mitzora, you do it even though you're a nazir. Okay, so if you're a mitzora vadai, so you shave, okay, at the beginning when you find out, and then you wait 7 days and you shave again, even though you're a mitzora. Okay, that's what a mitzora does, right? If you're a mitzora vadai. Now what do? Well, now you're back into the state about being a Nazir Suffolk Tameh. So because you're Suffolk Tameh, if you were Vadai Tameh, what you would do is you'd wait 7 days. Okay, this is the end. That's Mitzvah. Okay, now if you were Vadai Tameh, you'd wait 7 days and shave, right?
And then another, and then
You might not
third.
even have to wait 7 days because whatever. Anyway, yeah, but you would shave right away. But because you might be Tahor, not Tameh, you can't shave for the Tuma after 7. You have to end your Nazir Saftara and in order to do the shaving because you might be Tameh. So you wait 30 days,
That's 37.
and then you shave because you're Safek Tameh. Okay? And then if you were Tameh, then you wait another 30 days as your Tahara. Okay? So, yeah, clear? If you weren't Tameh, you could have basically, waited 7 days or something and done it, but now you have to do the whole thing. So that's 67 days, which is what it says. Okay? After 8. The reason it says 8 is because you shave here and then you bring the korban on day 8. All right, so don't get caught up by that. Let's say you're possibly a Mitzorah, but you're definitely Nazir Tameh. So again, if you're possibly Mitzorah, the first thing you got to do is get out of the status of being Mitzorah. But you have to wait. The first waiting, you can't shave right away because you're possibly a Mitzorah, but you're possibly even a Nazir Tameh can't shave if it's not sort of part of the Nazirut, okay? But what you can do is the following. If you're definitely a Tameh and possibly a Mitzorah, wait 7 days, okay? Now, if you've waited 7 days, since you're definitely a Tameh, so you're allowed to shave here because as a Nazir Tameh, you're definitely a Nazir Tameh who can shave after 7 days, right? Yes, a Nazir Tameh shaves after 7 days, right? And if you were a Mitzorah, you don't know, you're a questionable Mitzorah, but you can do shaving number 1 of a questionable Mitzorah because you're shaving anyway as a Nazir Tameh. Okay, so because you're a Nazir Tameh, you only had to wait 7 days, as opposed to you might have been you're definitely a Nazir Tameh. So at the end of 7 days you can shave, and that counts as shaving one of them itself.
But
Now-
up there it didn't work.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to
With
say.
the Mitzorah and the
Now
Nazir
suddenly you can
Tameh.
shave
Because
Because you were a Safek Tameh here. So in case you were a Nazir Tahor, you can't shave after 7 days.
But once you are shaving,
Once you are shaving as a Nazir Tameh, then you could say either there's a shaving for a Nazir Tameh, right, or shaving for a Mitzorah.
but up above,
You couldn't shave here because you might
Yeah,
have
but
been a
stage
Nazir-
2.
but after you wait the 30 days and you're shaving for your Suffolk Tame,
Yeah.
it doesn't count as your.
I didn't say it's
shave.
counted. It's going to count only for 1 here, but you are allowed to shave.
Okay.
If you're Mitzorah, it doesn't count for your Tumah. You're allowed to shave because either you're shaving as Tameh or you're shaving as Mitzorah.
Okay.
It's not going
Right.
to count.
No,
for
but
you.
what I don't understand is that one of them here is
Then they're
Vadai. So how can you make a Tanai if this, that, or that? You have a Vadai.
If I am a Mitzorah, then you have to deal with the Tzarah before you deal with the Tumah.
Okay.
If I'm a Mitzorah, this counts as for my shaving for Mitzorah.
Okay.
If I'm a Nazir if I'm not a Mitzorah, it counts as shaving for being a Nazir Tameh. I'm definitely a Nazir Tameh, but if it takes Mitzorah, that takes precedence.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's what you do there. Now, you got to do shaving number 2 for Mitzorah.
Right.
Okay? Now, shaving number 2 for Mitzorah, let's figure it out. If you were a Tameh, that counted. So now you're going to have to, you can't shave within 7 days
Right.
because if you were Tameh, now you have to start your Nazir
You have
Saftara.
to wait till third.
So you have to wait 30 and to do shaving number 2 for a Suffolk Mitzorah.
But that 7 was inside the 30. It's not 37.
No, because if you're not, yes, it is 37. If you're a Nazir Tameh, you wait 7 days and shave and 30 days and shave again for your
Those
Tahara.
7 days aren't counting towards your tip.
Why aren't those
That's the
7 days?
halacha. You wait 7 days to become Tahora, you shave, you bring a korban, you restart your Nazir Saftara.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 3 days
Okay.
of
So-
Sarah also.
Okay.
Okay, so you've got that. You were Suffolk Mitzorah, and you were able to do that in 37 days.
So you're shaving at 37, not
You're
at
shaving
30.
at 7, right. This is a total of 37. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So now, good. You're good for Mitzorah. Now, if you were a Mitzorah, only now can you start worrying about your status of being a Nazir Tameh. You can't. This does not double count as correct. So therefore, now you have to start worrying about 7 and do
Okay.
your shaving for Tameh. and 30 and do your shaving for tahor. Okay, so you're going to get a total of 74 days. It's 37. Yes?
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
sort of.
Trust me. All right.
That 7 was the last 7 was if he was a definite mitzvah.
This is if he was a definite mitzvah.
Definite,
Right. So, okay. So, let's take a look. Muchlat safek v'tamei vadai. Ochel b'kachim lachar shloshim v'shiva yamim. After 37 days, you're out of your mitzvah status, with your possible mitzvah status, and you're going to kachim. V'shosiyan b'tam l'meisim lachar shivim v'arba yamim. And after 74 days, you can go ahead and you're totally out of everything. And the simplest case is tamei vadai umuchlat vadai. You're vadai and nazir tamei, and you're vadai and muchlat. So ochel b'kachim lachar shmonim. Then you don't have to wait. You shaving 1 for mitzvah on day 1, shaving 2 on day 7. You bring your korban on day 8 for mitzvah, so you eat kachim after 8 days, and then you do your next 7 days for tumah, 30 days for tahara, and you're done. Okay, so you did that. Right, 7 days for 1, and then you start on day 8 the next process, 37 days, 7 and 30, 44 days. Okay, we got through that. Shkoyach, everyone. Now it gets easy. Okay, Shalu Talmid of Rabbi Shimon Yochai. This is a fun Tosefta. Rabbi Shimon Yochai students asked him. This is going to be the question people asking. Why can't certain of the shavings double count? Okay, so Nazir Tahor umitzora Maushi Galech Tiglachat Achak v'Ololo Kanu Lakan. So if you've got a guy who is a Nazir Tahor, I mean he's not Torah Mitzvah, but he's not Tmei Meis, and he's a Mitzora. Why doesn't the shaving count for both? Okay, so meaning not even our complicated case. Let's say I was a Nazir Tahor and my 30 days were up because the Mitzvah period doesn't count towards Nazirs, you might remember. Let's say my 30 days were up, okay, and then mamish right before I got a chance to, whatever, to go to the base of English, to do the whole thing, I became a Mitzvah. All right, so then why, when that Mitzvah period is over and I do that shaving, let that shaving double count. Okay, for just the mitzvah of shaving, let it double count. Again, implicit in here, I'm not going to unpack this, but as you were asking and realizing, implicit in this whole thing is none of the shavings double count.
But
that's what they're asking. Why can't it? Okay, Nazir tahor mitzvah Moshe galech tiglachazachas follow kanu kan. Amar he said to them, no. Okay, Amar they said to him, Lama. If they were doing the same thing, one of them was functioning to grow the hair again and the other to grow the hair again, and they were both functioning to take the hair off, then they would be similar. The Nazir is to get it, remove it, and the mitzvah is to grow it. Now, what does that mean? What that means is, we're running out of space on the board. This is so gorgeous. I don't want to. Oh, sorry. All right. That one you wanted?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted the first one too.
Nothing this clear is ever
Well, the sideboard.
All right. Anyway. Okay.
I'll just take a picture and I can send to heaven.
Okay. So we use this part. Okay. So let's talk about what they do. Okay. What does the mitzvah do? It says, let's go ahead and read the psukim. Actually, imagine that, reading the psukim.
Wait. That, yeah.
Oh,
fine.
I appreciate it. I'll find it. Okay. It says like this. It says, here's what he does. It clears up and it says like this. It says, the Tivao came to Lakach Lamita State Siparim, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we got to edit that out. Yeah. Oh, my God. Okay. State Siparim, I'm sorry, etc. V'chule to go there. So, okay, he does the whole thing with the bird. Okay, and then it says, and he sprinkles it, Fizal Mitahem. Okay, Vikilach is kose aro. Kilach, okay, is kose aro. V'rachatz b'mayim, which is mikvah. V'rachatz b'mayim, okay, so that's mikvah, that we'll see, whatever. V'taher, v'char yavol machaneh, v'yashav chutz l'olo shivat yamim, then 7, okay, day, okay. V'yom hashmini yigalach et kose aro. So on day 7, it's yigalach again, giluach. Okay, Giluach. Esra show the chibesis begadav for chatz v'susromayim v'taher. So again, mikvah for chatz begadav, mikvah, and that's on day 7. Vayom hashmini, and then on day 8 he brings his korban. Okay, that's the mitzvah. Nazir. What is a nazir? Nazir tamei.
Should write Nazir Tameh. Just
Well, okay, Nazir. We'll start with Tameh, and then we'll get to Tahor. So Nazir is okay. Here we go. So 7 days of of tahara, and then it's gilach, okay, giluach. And then on day 8 is a korban. Okay. Then he goes 30 days as tahor. Okay, or if he just started as tahor, what does he do on day 30 as tahor?
he's done.
It says he's gone, yes. And then
No, you have there all the.
so it's all the korbanot, and then giluach. Okay, the giluach comes after all the korbanot. Okay,
We also said that only one of them maybe.
I understand, but that's not our interest right now. So now we're going to point out how all of these giluachs are slightly different from one another. Okay, so the first question was, what was the first question? The first question was Nazir Tahor Mitzorah. Okay, Nazir Tahor and Mitzorah. So he says this one is legadel. What does it mean? This is legadel. That the hair has to grow back for a second giluach. This one you're done. This one you shave and you're done. That's considered lahavir. You get the hair off and you're done. This is getting off as part of a process of it growing again and shaving again.
That
So
doesn't
they're
make
not-
so much sense. You could just say just don't shave.
But he's saying they're not doing the same thing. They're not functioning in the same way. Okay, so Nazir lahavir mitzorah legadel. Okay, so now it says the next one. But how about here? Here you're done, and here you're done. So let the shaving of a Nazir Tahor count for the end of the mitzvah. Like let this double count if you're in these two stages. Okay, because here you're done and here you're done. Okay. And he said to that, no. If they both came before the korban, they'd be similar. Ella because that's on day 7 and this is day 8. And this comes after the korbanot. So clearly they're doing something different and they can't double count.
Also, the time period is different.
What?
Does that matter?
No, but if you happen to be both at the same time.
No, I'm saying the time period.
You mean this
between
is 7 days,
7
this
and
is 30
I
days?
don't know if that's
Yeah,
relevant
okay, but
also.
when they're actually functioning, that was to get you to that point. But here's actually saying, in the way they're functioning ritually, this is the beginning of a process, this is the end. This somehow is a lead into a korban, and this comes after a korban. So they're functioning in different ways. Okay? So, the lo talelo limei tzaratov v'nizirato, the talelo limei tzaratov v'tumato. 1 minute. How about having it count for a Nazir Tameh, which comes before the Korban, and a end of the Mitzorah that comes before the Korban, okay? So you could have, I guess, said that this is Ligadel, but we're right, because you could have pointed out that this is the beginning of a process, not the end. But here, anyway, both of them come before the Korban. So let's see what the answer is. If they both came before going to the mikvah, fine. Here the giluach is, this is the process of tahara, and then sprinkling the ashes paraduma, going to the mikvah, and after the process of tahara, it comes after the tahara process. Okay, umitzora lifnei b'yamayim. This comes before, so this is part of the tahara process. It comes before the mikvah, and this comes at the end of the tahara process. So it's doing something again functionally different.
But how do we know that it actually matters? In other words, you just saying.
All right, that was his understanding. From here, anyway, you see that the assumption is they don't double count. Okay, but right, did it develop based on this logic? Was it a Masorah and then it was explained? But he basically says, like, if you wanted to, I would say the burden of the proof is on the other side. If you wanted to double count, you have to show that it's doing the same thing. And in each one of these, there's something different about every single one.
He's
from
reading
the
the structure
Right.
very closely.
Right, exactly. Okay, the talalo now. Did we finish that? Wait a minute.
No, it's a question, right?
No, I'm sorry.
No,
Oh,
they
v'talalo
say to him, I'm
limei
gonna get
chalu-
Martha.
Wait a minute. Lifnei b'yamayim. Amar. They said to him, Yafel Marta, shelo talalo limei sifro ulinizirato. So this one down here, right, doesn't count limei nizirato limei sifro. Sifra is the second stage. Now, this is exactly what we asked. Why doesn't this and this count?
Right, the first one.
Right? Okay, now again, it's a funny question because this comes before the mikvah. This comes after. So this is really like almost like now we're really like sort of doing like a lishna achrina. We're sort of saying it again. Each one here is the beginning of a second leading into a second kiluach. Hu omer lahen nazir tahur. Amar lahen, he said to them, Nazir tahur v'hu mitzorah zelagadel v'zelahavi. Like it's funny, like it didn't really have the answer. There's sort of like some different variation of the same discussion going on. So he said to them, Nazir tahur v'hu mitzorah zelagadel v'zelahavir. Here it's lahavir, and this is legadel. That's going to back to that. The im nazir tamei v'hu mitzorah, and if it's this and this, which is the question that they asked, zelifnei biat mayim. This is before. V'zeh lachar biat mayim. This is afterwards. Okay. So basically the same point. Whatever ones you compare, they're different. There are differences. Tani Rabbi Chia. Okay, let's just finish this. Tani Rabbi Chia taught zelifnei biat mayim v'zeh lachar biat mayim zelifnei zvikatamim v'zeh lachar zvikatamim. A short way of distilling what the differences are. Pay attention. Does it come before or after the mikvah? Does it come before or after the korban? Is it the first stage or the second stage? Once you look at those three issues, you'll see that none of them match up. Okay. Should we try to just finish the parak? Okay, we'll just give it 2 minutes because we really have to clear out. There's a class starting in 4 minutes. Okay. Shetiglachas haneges. So. You know what? Let's not. Okay, I know it's very tempting, but let's stop here. All right.